This is just AMZN on Monday, August 30th, 2021. It is August 30th, and we had a really nice run today. We got right through our line. So we've had this line on here for a while. We haven't talked about this line in a couple weeks. This was where we were trading around right after earnings. Put in a really nice rest after battle pattern right above that, and then just continue to ride up the 5 exponential moving average. And after it normally rides this for so long, it does eventually come back to the 21. And it actually held the 21 really well today. So we got some bounces all through here, went sideways for quite a while, for a couple of hours here, about 2 hours, and then started to bounce, put in a new high in the day with a little extra volume, and that was about all it had today. So AMZN started to roll over a little bit, first back into the 21, then dipping down below, a little bit of a rest after battle here, breaking down further, little stair step, breaks down, and ended with some oversold with the RSI. We dipped down on the lower edge of the oversold for the RSI earlier, around right before 11 o'clock. This was a great time to be looking for an entry. I don't know if necessarily getting in here would have worked so well, but if you start looking at the options here, when the RSI is this low, like I said, this needs to normally go sideways and rest for a little while after it's had such a huge run up with the following the 5 exponential. So not necessarily the same amount of time, but in this case, it ran up for like 2 hours and then it went sideways for about 2 hours and kind of started to get going in here. We jump over to the 3,500 call expiring this Friday. So here's the opportunities to get in at a much lower price on this strike. Soon after the open, it would have been getting in above the line that we have at the 33.6680 price. So we came down to that with kind of these hammers, but they stayed really in with the 5 above this line. This option you could have been getting into maybe 450 by 350. No, not quite. 450 by 3 maybe to get it below the low here. Maybe would have been out a little bit further away or next week where things would move a little bit slower. But mostly I was looking at this option just to say, hey, we really came back into the 21 right through here. We have the same oversold RSI. There were some opportunities to get in here around 8, and it would have eventually worked to hold that up to 11 for a 3-hour trade over here. But that would have been getting in over here, dipping back down. You would have been positive most of the trade. There were a couple times where it dipped below 8. But getting in at 8, stop at 7, that was a great setup for kind of a slower move. But obviously you would have missed this bigger move right out the gate. And I mean, buying it right out the gate would have been great for today. And then, yeah, some other options, 34.50, didn't quite get into the money. We got really close. We got up to 34.45. So we'll see if we can push a little bit higher tomorrow, or if we get a little bit of a pullback into the 100 something moving average. I'm zoomed way in on this one because the 3,400 put was actually in the money when things opened up today. So I'm just ignoring everything right out here. But all I wanted to point out is we got the overbought on the put, came into these upper wicks, put in this kind of resistance here, and then came back and retested that resistance over here. Kind of got this double top with that retest, poke back up here above the overbought. And so this is a good place to look for that kind of a reversal. You know, that's what I'm seeing the RSI where it does that. You had a really clean signal on the put, did not have it as clean on the call, definitely didn't have it on the stock itself. It didn't really do, like it did kind of a double bottom, but not enough of these oversold color changes like that. You did have some of this on the bullish side, or on the upper end where it's signaling, well, that might be it. So you do have kind of head and shoulders shape here and another head and shoulders shape here. So depending on how you look at this, this could be a double top and then it retests here, or it could really be like a double shoulders, I'm sorry, a head and shoulders sort of shape with the RSI. Didn't quite look like that on the stock itself. This did look a little bit like a head and shoulders. You know, we're obviously looking at the 5 minute on the day to see how this moved. There are some extra dips in there. So yeah, I guess it was an extra. So what would that be? 1, 2 shoulders, and then the head, and then 1 right shoulder here, something like that. You know, it could work, but I mean, it just shows that it doesn't necessarily have to break down, but it can still just rest, can still come into the 21. But just to see patterns like that and to know, okay, maybe I should tighten up my stop or just take the profit here before it has something like a breakdown. You know, that's one way to play it. So if you were in from the get-go and you were looking for a place to get out, or at least to trail up your stop, at this point, it's not making these really large candles anymore. So that initial momentum for the first hour of the day is really pretty much spent. It does push back up, doesn't quite get back up into the high, and then kind of starts to slow down here. You get a little bit of higher lows and lower highs. It just really can't get going again to make a really, you know, another high here. It's a much lower high, significantly lower. You can't connect these with a line. At this point, this is kind of right before it's going to have you know, this head and shoulders shape kind of playing out with a bigger pullback. It's just 20 minutes of selling. That's all it is. But that can really take a lot of premium out of your options. So if you had a stop really tight here at this point, you know, like 950, you would have been able to get out, you know, and just continue to trail your trade on its way up and gotten out without, you know, a bigger pullback all the way to 8, which, like I said, that would have been a good place to actually be getting in. So if you're looking to get out when it's setting these up like this double top or looking like a head and shoulders, those can be your signals to be exiting if you didn't have a firm target already. So yeah, back on the daily here, we traded through the 100. I'm kind of expecting to see a bit of a pullback into the middle of this candle, just a really strong candle. Getting back into the volume that we were a week or so ago. Definitely building, increasing volume here. So it looks like this may be a nice rally to stay, but there's some good resistances ahead. So we came right back into this high wave candle here. We are really close to filling the gap from kind of this double top here. Not quite yet filling the gap from before earnings. So that still has quite a ways to go. So what I'm picturing is a little bit of a one option, I guess, is we have a little bit of a pullback and then it can get going. And then I like this X marks the spot here with these lines around 35.50. Or if we do continue to push up, I think we could run into this purple line real soon here. Maybe not in a single day, but if we get another volume spike like this, we've seen that before where we've had, you know, kind of this, here's these lower volume days, we get a bigger volume day, and then that's the big one that's, you know, breaking out like this. So this was a really significant breakout when that happened. Obviously that was making all-time highs and everyone was in on it. Doesn't feel like we've got everyone in on this move. Feels like there's room for more people to come in and trade along with it. So that's why I'm, you know, kind of leaving that possibility. If we get a little bit of a pullback, buying off the 100 here is a good entry. It could, you know, still set your stop, probably get your stop at least below the 200. Ideally, if you got some room down here, because we really could just kind of bounce around here. I guess that wouldn't quite be low enough if we were to do that. But that's some of my thoughts on the daily. And here we are almost the end of the month, so I can take another look at that later this week with a whole new month close, a whole new month starting, and with August almost closed, we'll be able to see a new monthly candle, see what happened. let's see, where do we start out? It's probably looking like a bit of a hammer because we opened like over in here, and depending where we close tomorrow, we've got a lower wick, not quite that long. We got a lower wick like that, and possibly if we close around, if we close around the same price we're at, that would look like a monthly hammer. So we'll see. Guess we'll have to wait for tomorrow to see how it closes, see what that forms. Hope this helps. This is just AMZN. Thanks.